Hey guys, Jim here again to bring you guys another MMA fight prediction video. This time coming the UFC 168's epic rematch main event, which features a UFC middleweight title fight between the new champion, the undefeated All-American Chris Weidman, when he faces off for the second time against the former champion and pound for pound king Anderson, the Spider Silva, and what should be arguably another unforgettable fight between the two of them. I will give you guys the backstory to this fight, which will cover all the events leading up to this one, the controversy, the shocking performance, and what a victory means for both of these guys. Now, I will also give you who I have coming out victorious and walking away with the gold when the dust settles in Las Vegas. Now, without further ado, let's get this thing started right about now. UFC 162, we are witness to one of the most electric and anticipated UFC middleweight title fights in recent memory, because Anderson, the Spider Silva, the pound for pound king and UFC middleweight champion, was defending his championship against the man that he did not want to hook up with in the All-American, undefeated Chris Weidman, the man that most fighters had coming out the victor when the dust settled UFC 162. And the man who had all the skills to give Anderson Silva hell. Because the blueprint to beating Anderson Silva has always been a man who was a great wrestler that could take him down, rough him up. However, Chris Weidman was more than just that. He was a guy who could take Anderson Silva down, control his posture, and pound him out, cut him up, and submit him. He had all the tools to do all that. And during the fight, the first round went exactly as we expected for Chris. He took him down, controlled his posture, laid the ground and pound in, got a leg, going for the heel hook. I thought, done. I thought it was done. But it wasn't in deep enough, and Anderson Silva got back up and got it back to his world, the stand-up world. And, it was on display, I can tell you that much. He was clowning Weidman standing up. And the thing about what it was is Weidman, when he tried to go for the takedown again, he couldn't get it. He had double underhooks, and Weidman couldn't get it. And at the very end of the round, Anderson, adding insult to injury, kissed him on the cheek. It was pretty messed up, but not as gross as the weigh-ins when he kissed the man on the lips, which was really disturbing, to say the least. Now, regardless of that, he handed Chris Weidman the ultimate Christmas present when he decided to take the clowning and showmanship to the next level by basically doing the wah-bobbing and the weaving. And Weidman, who was unfazed by this foolishness, he went in, he chased after him, and boom, right on the kisser. Down goes Silva. The king is dead, and a new king has risen from the ashes. Because that right there, ladies and gentlemen, was our down go Frazier moment, because Silva, the greatest of all time, was vanquished in one foul swoop with a left hook right to the kisser. And with that, Weidman went from being a top prospect to unheralded contender to the middleweight champion. And with that, it opened up the floodgates for all the contenders who were on the back burner because Anderson Silva was champion. Now they have the opportunity to challenge for the belt again because it's now fresh. But, however, Weidman's victory, as glorious as it was, was not without controversy, because a lot of the media, a lot of the fans discredit the win as being, fixed, set up, and this, that, and the other thing. But let me tell you something. If that was supposed to be fixed, which it wasn't, why didn't the UFC tell him to basically fall down and let himself get submitted by Chris? Because that would be safer, and, it would make the fight turn around that much quicker. If they want to do a rematch to make more money on it. They didn't do that. It was a fair fight. The man got vanquished. Get his nuts out of your mouth. Your boy lost. Simple as that. I mean, hey, he didn't want none anyway. After the fight, he said, my time with the belt is over. With Chris, no champion. He even said that shit. So think about it from that perspective. But, hey, he's getting a rematch. I mean, he's defended the title a bunch of times. So he's rightfully deserving of a rematch. And he gets his chance to prove that that was a fluke and that he can take his belt back at UFC 168. And Chris has the opportunity to silence the doubters and prove once and for all that he is the new face of the middleweight division, and he deserves to walk with that gold around his waist. But as far as who's going to win this fight, that'll be coming up next. Now, coming into this epic rematch between the current middleweight champion Chris Weidman and the former middleweight champion and former pound-for-pound king Anderson Silva, Weidman definitely has the reach advantage at 78 inches to Silva's 77-inch reach. They're the same height, 6'2". No problems there. Now, experience goes to Silva. Still, because, again, the guy has had more fights than Chris Weidman. He has a 33-5 record with 1 disqualification, and he's been a lot more title fights and gone the full 5-round limit. Now, Chris is perfect, 10-0, no losses, and he's never been knocked out or submitted. And he beat the champ, so there's some confidence there, even though he doesn't have all the experiences. Now, judging from their first fight, Silva still beats him in the striking all day long. Silva was faster of the two standing up. He was able to kick him at will, evade his strikes for the most part, and just, play around with the guy. And if he wasn't so hell-bent on being a showman and just, fought seriously, once he had Weidman's timing, and his speed and his pattern down point, he could have finished him, but he didn't. He decided to do this dance around and all that other stuff and got caught with that left hook, and he went down. And Weidman, although he isn't, technically, proficiently a better striker than Anderson, he didn't fall for the foolishness. He didn't play into Anderson Silva's masquerade and get caught like all the other guys do. Because Rich Franklin fell for it, Forrest Griffin fell for it, Stephan Bonner fell for that masquerade, and they all got knocked out. Chris didn't do that. He held his composure, and when Silva was doing that bobbing and weaving foolishness, he chased after him and went in for the kill and got that left hook in, baby. Now, when it comes down to the grappling aspect, Chris is a brown belt, Anderson's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And Chris, using his Division I wrestling, he took him down with that deep takedown in the first round, was able to outland him ground and pound wise. Overall, that's what the overall strikes were, ground and pound anyway. I mean, he did get some hits standing up, but it was overall ground and pound. He was able to control his posture, and he went in for that heel hook. but he wasn't able to, lock it in completely. And Silva, being a black belt that he is, he was able to get out of it and get it back to where he's the strongest at. And for the most part, Silva was able to stop most of Weidman's takedowns in that fight, which was huge. Now, coming into this rematch, though, as far as their game plans are concerned, what they're going to try to do to each other during this fight is very simple. Chris is going to use his striking more or less this time to set up takedowns and get it to his world where he can slap in submissions and hit him heavy with the ground and pound and slice him up with the elbows and leave this guy bloody and not wanting no more. I mean, and possibly going for some more submissions this time, more Darce chokes, triangle chokes, guillotine chokes, just chokes in general. I mean, I know Anderson lost by heel hook, but the fact is, the guy knows he lost by heel hook. He's not going to fall for the same trick twice. Now, the other thing is, he needs to be trickier with the takedowns by throwing in more Greco throws, some trips, some single legs, be unpredictable. So Silva has a little bit of trouble trying to defend the takedowns if he doesn't know what you're going to try to throw him with. And should Silva try to grab your shorts when you're trying to take him down, slap in the guillotine choke on him. Right there, standing guillotine choke like he did on Jesse Bongfo, and try to finish him that way. And of course, when you're against the cage in the clinch, elbows, baby, is along with the dirty boxing. Now, Silva, very simple. Defend the takedown, stuff him. Basically keep it on the feet. Not take as many crazy chances. Tone down the taunting a little bit and the showmanship. And stay focused and on point. And try to batter this guy up. And finish him by KO. And on the ground, try to guard pass him. And try to get on top and put him in a bad position. Or work him from underneath and get a triangle choke on him. But for the most part, I see Chris this time not, having the long layoff, passing Anderson Silva's guard, going for submission attempts. And I think he's going to get him by a Darce choke. Probably, I'm thinking, maybe third round. Getting the submission. Or, he's going to get the decision, in my opinion. Silva, without a doubt, is one of the best of all time. I have a ton of respect for him. But this is time for the new generation, my man. And Chris is the new face of the middleweight division. And he's going to leave no doubt that his victory over Anderson Silva was legit. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't fixed. It wasn't none of that. He legitimately beat the guy. You guys just have to get over it. Get his nuts out of your mouth. Chris Weidman is the man. Anderson Silva was the man. But that was yesteryear. We're living now in 2013, and Chris Weidman is our middleweight champion and will remain middleweight champion and undefeated. And he will go on to face the likes of Mark Munoz or Michael Bisping, depending on who wins between those two in that fight, or Vitor Belfort should he get past Dan Henderson, and maybe Chael Sonnen if he goes back down the middleweight. That'll be a fun fight. As Anderson Silva is concerned, though, once he loses this fight to Chris Weidman, he can go up to 205 and fight the likes of Gus, Rashad Evans, and all those guys. And possibly John Jones once he has some wins together, maybe one or two, because with the name he has and the time he's put in, they would rush that title fight immediately, or just give it to him in general, depending on the scheduling and everything, because Jones Silva is a big money fight. because he's not going down to 170 to fight George St. Pierre and the rest of the guys in 170 and drain himself a water weight and muscle mass. Either that or he's going to retire if he doesn't go up to 205. And then when that's done and his UFC contract is all the way cleared out, because even if you retire, you're still under contract with these guys, you know, for a certain amount of time, especially if you're high level like Anderson contract-wise. And then once all that's taken care of, fight his idol Roy Jones and have that super boxing fight that he's always been talking about. But nevertheless, though, this ends today's fight prediction. I will see you guys for the next one.